And we live. Look at we got a full crew tonight. Hello and welcome. Hello. Yes, we have our resident shitster hath returned. Welcome back, Jamie.
I got a big wooden spoon.
Stir the pot. Of course, I am JJ. There we have Austin Reddick. Hello and welcome and hello. If this is your first time, thank you for joining us here. Jamie did not get caught in traffic tonight. What time did you end up getting home after all that? Because you're like, you usually you're like, I got a little traffic. You're like, no, I'm not. This is bad. Like, what time did you get?
It was standstill. I got home at 11:42.
Jesus.
And I left around 10 something.
Wow.
Yeah, it was exciting. Really exciting. Hey, there's Clint.
Hey, what's up, Clint? What's up, Heather?
Wow. And
Austin,
Heather's back. Heather came back and I was gone. Like, it was like a bit, I swear. Bit.
Well, Heather is our mod in chat. For those of you first time joining us, please feel free to chat. Heather is our mod. Hello, Heather. And Heather, much like us, is indeed committed to the bit. So I am for it. Austin, how the hell you?
Something hot.
How the hell you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Getting ready to wrestle here in Wichita this weekend. Heartland Championship Wrestling.
Yeah.
Live at the Osage County Rec Center. If you are somewhere nearby, come on out. It'll be a good night of wrestling and a special treat. Making his HCW debut, the current reigning Triple L champion Cody Devine will be in the house. So yeah, and then as we were just talking about before going on air, we'll do the show Saturday, and then Monday night going to see the Offspring, which I'm very excited about. I've never seen them live, but it's gonna be a kick-ass show.
I'm super jelly because they are on my list of things I have to see. Like, I love me some Offspring.
Yeah, I mean, and then both their openers are like ska bands. I think it's The Urge and Saving Ferris, and I don't listen to a lot of ska, but I love live ska.
Hold on.
Saving Ferris?
Saving Ferris?
They're still around? What the? Dude.
Well, I mean, like, the Offspring's still around, and they're all pretty old, too.
Well, yeah, but it's the Ospreay, you know. But
so in high school, I used to blare my Save Ferris album all the time. I used to piss off my best friend because, like, he was super metal, and I was, like, all over the place. And then anytime I'd ever get him in my car, I would always play my Save Ferris. And, like, you know, Come On Eileen would be on typically, or it'd be like Super Spy or something like that, you know, but he used to get so pissed, but I love them. And then they were in 10 Things I Hate About You, or 10 Rules of Dating My Daughter, or whatever. It's 10 Things I Hate About You, with Heath Ledger. They are the band at the prom.
Right. Boy, that
Speaking of acts on this show that were in movies, the Offspring were in one of my favorite movies of all time, Idle Hands.
That's right.
Yeah, they played the high school Halloween party.
So think about it, back then in all these movies, you had the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones were in Clueless, right? You had Good Charlotte and Not Another Teen Movie when they sang "Put Your Heads on My Shoulder," which was by far one of the best renditions of that song of all time. And then Save Ferris, and then you had the Offspring. I mean, you could consider The Chase. You know, that had all of the Chili Peppers, or just have Flea and Anthony Kiedis? Do you remember The Chase?
I haven't seen that in a very long time.
I'm trying to remember. I think it was just Flea and Kiedis, but I mean, that's pretty much Chili Peppers.
And Henry Rollins was in that movie too as the cop, which was perfect.
Well,
yeah.
Henry Rollins. Amazing.
Either way, they need to bring back having bands play a song in a movie as like part of the movie.
Like being like low key, like background music.
Yeah.
Not, you know, because I mean, in real life, you know, of course, 10 Things I Hate About You was like the quintessential mid-90s grunge. It was in Seattle. It was like, I mean, all the stuff, right? You know, there was the random like weekday rave that they had, you know, non-alcohol, whatever. It was so 90s. But yeah, just casually having a chart-topping band as your prom, you know, but it's just a band, right, in the movie. It's fantastic. It's
the shit they don't do anymore because they just remake old stuff.
Well, we
And
can.
they do.
Well, I can go on for hours about that, but let's not. Well, anyway, we do again. Welcome back, Jamie. We are happy to have you here. If you are in Wichita, go definitely to see HCW. Some great local wrestling. Very good production they put on there. Very good time to have by all this Saturday. Unfortunately, we didn't get to partake in local wrestling recently. So for those of you not familiar, not from Kansas City, our friends over at Fountain City Pro unfortunately had to postpone last Friday's show. No specific word today I've seen about why it was postponed. I'm not going to get into it. I don't really want to. It's who knows, right? Family, personal, man. I had no idea. But at the end of the day, it wasn't a lot canceled. It's going to happen again in September. So could have been a venue thing, could have been a myriad of things. But, the sad news is that we didn't get to actually partake in some wrestling. But the card's still going to be going on. And I have seen some stuff being announced for St. Louis Anarchy Journey Pro, the Journey to Anarchy show in October. There's like a lot of familiar faces are going to be on there. I've seen Gary J, Camaro Jackson, Kenny Alfonso, one called Manders. So Laney Luck, they haven't announced anything because it's what, October 29th or something, right?
That's a ways out.
Yeah, but they've at least been putting some faces to it. So I know plenty of people who've already bought tickets for that. It is on a Tuesday night, but who cares? It's going to be fantastic. Well,
They're not in Kansas City, man.
what are you looking at?
Offspring. They're going from Wichita to Nebraska to Michigan to Wisconsin, then Austria, then Switzerland, then Belgium. Yeah. Then they're gonna be in dude.
That's what y'all get for not living in the big city with the big lights of Wichita.
Big
man.
thriving metropolis of
White
Cheetah, Kansas.
City living.
Maybe my best friend's going to that concert. Maybe they're going out to Wichita. Oh no, I think they were going to see him in Colorado when they were out there. Never mind. I need to call him. I haven't talked to him like in a month. Anywho, let's talk about some wrestling. How about that, guys?
Let's talk about some wrestling.
God damn it! It's with the Urge too. I love the Urge. We're going to the liquor store. God,
Urge
so
is
effing jealous.
Yeah.
What are you doing Monday? Yeah, PTO saved up. Let's.
I don't have it. Yeah. Could be there 3 short hours.
Okay. So you guys been following along with things happening over in the Fedland?
Yeah, I actually I got suckered in again. I caught the back half of Raw this week in real time, not even like the Hulu short version. I got Raw proper.
I did a little side peek throughout the night on Monday, and because I wanted to catch the Wyatt stuff, I wanted to see where they were going with that, and I have thoughts.
Let's start with your thought on the Wyatt stuff.
I don't mind the whole fact that, okay, I'm so dichotomous with this whole thing. I don't mind the fact that they have. Don't worry, Clint. I'm getting on my soapbox here in a second. I don't mind the fact that they have Bo Dallas as Bo Dallas in there, but I don't fucking get why you have Bo Dallas as Bo Dallas in there.
Why not?
Well, what? Is he Uncle Howdy? Is he Bo Dallas? Is he both? I don't know. I just feel like they're doing the old school thing and just fucking up a good thing, right? And this is my worry from the start. This is what I think. I can't remember. I think it was Austin said they're going to drop this ball. That's what they do. I don't know. I just no idea where they're going with this. And it doesn't feel like, so the first couple of weeks, and then it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, it seems very much like what happened when The Fiend originally debuted. It was really cool visually at first, and then they realized, oh shit, there are 51 more weeks of TV the next year. Like, we have to keep doing things with this. and we didn't think about that ahead of time because why would they? I don't understand what they're going for. Like, I don't get what it's supposed to be. As Clint just said in the chat, give us a match. Throw one of them out there to wrestle somebody. They're clearly building up to something at SummerSlam, and that's fine. We're only like 2 weeks out. I liked the sit-down interview with Eric Rowe in a vacuum, but I'm very confused.
Tear up. Not even gonna lie.
Yeah, but like they show up and just kind of murder everybody, and but they're also kind of the good guys. And then apparently Chad Gable's the bad guy for going and finding 2 guys to beat Bo Dallas's ass because they literally like left him bloodied in a heap. Like it's all over the place.
Like, and I love Chad Gable, but it's like you're feuding with Chad Gable of all people. Like, what?
Well, allow me to retort, gentlemen,
please,
because this is the one thing. This is actually there's 2 things on Raw that I'm enjoying right now. This is one of them. Everything else is just mid. But SmackDown's a superior show. Like, again, I'm going to say that again. SmackDown's a superior show.
It is.
Oh, wait, Jamie, real quick. You weren't here last week. I actually watched SmackDown the week before and actually said last week, I'm fucking up because I keep watching Raw when I should be watching SmackDown. That is a very entertaining wrestling show.
Yes. So, here's the thing. If you are going to put on your sports entertainment helmet on, not your wrestling helmet, they're different, okay? They are different. You put on the sports entertainment. Hey, what is something that people can relate to? Normal people who have dark sides. People really enjoy that kind of stuff. You're Bruce Wayne and you're Batman. You know, hey, alter ego thing. But this is the correlation I am making. There is this out of the 2 solid Rob Zombie movies that have ever been made. One of them is The Devil's Rejects, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by the end of that movie, you are rooting for the bad guys. Like,
True.
You have made this ascension to, wow, I really feel bad for Captain Spaulding and Baby and all them, right? So I am making this correlation that they're doing a reverse. Like, hey, they want you to feel sorry for the normal people who do bad things because they have been driven to this place. You know, instead of they were in this place and now they're driven to be good. Like, it's the reverse dichotomy of it. And I, for one, appreciate that as a horror fan of the journey that they're trying to put us on with it. It is a tad bit of a slow burn. I agree. But here's the thing. The payoff will be great. Is it too slow? Yes. Could it be faster? Yes. Does it need to be faster? Yes. But I understand what they're doing.
I mean, if like the whole story is though that like these good people are driven to that place, like keep him at that bad place. Why is Bo Dallas trotting out there in jeans to get his ass beat by Chad Gable and just laugh about it for just so
you can beat up the man, but you can't beat up the creature. That's the
thing. For the rest of his family, like while he's in there taking 18 finishers from Gable and the Creed brothers, why is his family and his backup walking slower than the Undertaker at WrestleMania to come out and save him?
It's the horror movie trope, man.
Like, I don't understand why they all ran away so fast too. The Creed brothers could have hit like 14 more finishers before the rest of the White Six ever got to the ring.
I mean, that's fair. Like I said, it's a slow burn, but the payoff will be great.
The aesthetic's cool. Like let's get them wrestling a little bit. But also like you've got these super deep, heartfelt sit downs, which is it's nice, it's different, it's something kind of cool you don't see all the time. But then why do they just keep beating up Chad Gable? Like you're saying, it's a slow burn, but let's
okay, so why Chad Gable? Why Chad Gable? Excellent point. Chad Gable just kicked out the rest of the Alpha Academy, so he has to start something new. They're attacking him because he is everything that they despise. Somebody who thinks they're absolutely great and they're just evil. Whereas these people are evil who are actually great. They are the reverse. See, you gotta come with me on this adventure because this is horror movie trope 101, man.
Yeah, but like
in.
thinks they're great, but is actually evil could be like half the heels on the roster. Why Chad Gable specifically?
So then Chad Gable's not in a title run, which he absolutely deserves. Just saying.
And that's the other thing is, are we just never going to get Chad Gable versus Otis? Like, are we just not paying that off?
Oh, it's coming, but they have to get through this first.
You know how they do. That's going to be a Royal Rumble or, Mania next year's thing. It's long.
I think it's more
term.
likely than not, it'll happen on Main Event in like 6 months and no one will see it. The way they tend to do things.
Touche. I will say this, though. The one part that I really do enjoy about watching, Raw is everything Judgment Day related. Like, if you would have asked me 3 years ago when the Judgment Day first came around under Edge's tutelage, I think it was at the time, right? And we mocked it quite a bit. But my God, I love this. The whole dynamic with Dominic Mysterio and even like copying, which came back 2 weeks ago, copying. Remember when Eddie Guerrero was
China and Eddie.
China, it is the whole China and Eddie thing to a T. I mean, I love this. Damian Priest is getting his flowers like he should. I love everything about the Judgment Day. I will say that. Absolutely. That's my favorite part.
I gotta say, Rhea showing back up has helped a lot because the Dom and Liv stuff was just kind of treading water and getting a little like it was the same thing for like 6 straight weeks. Rhea showing up immediately injected some life in that, made that a lot better. I do greatly appreciate at the end of Raw, Rhea telling Dom, "I'm not yours, you're mine," and then like reconciling. Because I was really worried they were going to do that thing they tend to do too much, where everyone on their show is either just wildly stupid or has the memory of a goldfish. Because if you've been watching these segments, Dom is clearly telling Liv to leave him alone. And yet time and time again, somehow he gets drop kicked into straddling her. And even Monday nights, I watched that happen. And Michael Cole on commentary, who I thought it would get better when he was no longer getting produced through his ear by Vince, still having some of the same problems, is sitting there yelling.
Still Michael Cole.
Well, any chance Dom has of reconciling is gone. Do you think Rhea's not just watching on a monitor back? Like she didn't just see he clearly got drop kicked into her, is telling her like. So bless them for making Rhea seem like a rational, intelligent adult and understanding like, oh, this isn't Dom, this is Liv doing this. But yeah, that has picked up and gotten a lot better. I do want to bring up the Damian Priest and Gunther stuff though.
Okay. Well, before we get there, I just have one. Like that's my number one thing is the whole Dom and Liv thing. That is absolutely hilarious. And then what Jey Uso did with like Call Me, like that stuff was great. But yeah, like right now, it must suck being Dominic Mysterio, right? Like you got Mommy and you got Liv fighting over you. Like we're gonna have a Dominic on a pole match, and no matter what, he wins.
He's a winner, absolutely. and Clint, to answer your question, every faction needs a beat 'em up boy. You need somebody that just gets their shit kicked in, right? You gotta have that scapegoat. That's what JD is. That's what he's there for.
That's JD.
He's the Wheeler Yuta of Judgment Day.
He's the road dog.
Great way to put it.
Road dog, fantastic, very good, Jamie. Yes,
Buff Bagwell.
Yeah,
I was gonna say
you gotta have that guy.
You could get like 35 names in the old NWO if you want to plug that in. But anyway,
yeah,
Virgil.
Let's talk about Damian Priest and Gunther.
Let's do it.
And how they're fucking up again.
Oh,
did y'all see this promo segment on Raw?
Yes.
I only caught the last half of it.
One, it was a callback in some ways to one of the darkest moments of Triple H's career that he is still criticized about 20 years later. It was not nearly as on the nose, but they had Gunther do the whole people like you don't get the title. it wasn't the same, but it like Triple H, if you're booking the stuff and you clearly know that that's something people have been dogging you about for damn near 2 decades, don't even touch it. Don't get close to it. Also, or more importantly, because you do not need to tell that story with Gunther and Priest. I get that they're turning Priest into a babyface, and I think it's working. I think he's great as babyface. You do not need Gunther to come out there. The guy that's like his entire shtick until now has been the mat is sacred. I am the best damn wrestler, and I'm going to make the titles need something. That's all cool. Do all that. You don't have to throw in, well, I had everything handed to me by my parents. I got all the best stuff, and that's why I'm the best. And people like you don't get the title. It's for people like it. It just kills Gunther. Like, you don't need it. We have seen Gunther in the ring. We understand he's a damn near unstoppable just force. Yeah. You do not need to add in the Triple H and Booker T aspect to this SummerSlam angle, and I will die on that hill.
I'm going to agree. I'm going to agree wholeheartedly with that, because Gunther should stay Gunther, if that makes any kind of sense. Like, just keep Gunther, and keep Priest, and just have a kick-ass match at SummerSlam, which we all know it's going to be. Yeah,
and you already have a built-in story you could have gone with. Gunther could come out and say, since you've won that title, you have not defended that on your own once. You have no chance of beating me. If your little friends run out, I will kill them too. That's all you need.
See, yeah. I hear you, but to play the other side of the coin there, I don't think here's my opinion. It doesn't really matter what he says, right? Like, the backstory to why he thinks that the mat is sacred, all that, I could care less. I really could, right? And I don't, the whole like people like you, I agree with you guys on that for sure. But the gist of it, I don't really care. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's still the same sort of Gunther. Maybe his previous motivation has, stylistically changed, because you're now giving him this weird background of being raised with an Austrian silver spoon in his mouth. For who cares? I don't care about that one bit, right? And part of Damian Priest's thing is, yes, he busted his ass to get here, right? Puerto Rico and all this stuff, right? I get it, right? It kind of like, he just said the things that you already knew, so I didn't really care about that, And maybe I just got blinders on, because this is the type of thing that we want to see WWE do, right? Gunther's been on this rise for the past 2.5 years, really, right? Since he first took the IC title, and we knew it was going to lead to a head, and they've been putting up, Priest over the last bit of time. This was inevitable, and this is fantastic that it's finally roads have collided here. So I really don't think it matters. I mean, yes, it's an old trope, but this is WWE. Old tropes are new tropes every week, in and out.
See, I'm with you on all that. I'm excited it's happening. Looking forward to the match. Glad they've got 2 newer talents wrestling for the title. Mm-hmm. I'm with you on all that. I just wish they didn't WWE it up like that, and add in the unnecessary. And that's the other thing is like, you don't care, and no one really cares. It did not sound believable coming from Gunther. It's just
noise. It's noise. That's all that it
is. It is noise. So don't put the noise out there. Have Gunther just come out and be the Gunther that he's been on this entire rise.
And again, if it wasn't a 3-hour show, you might not have got that full promo like that.
Yeah, it just seemed like a weird kind of change in direction for Gunther out of nowhere, with no reason for it to happen.
or Heather, he'd go the complete other direction, have Gunther goose stepping by now.
Yeah. Well, and then
I wish that was fully a joke, but I'm sure Vince thought about it.
100%. 100%.
And then Clint says Gunther needs to be solo, and I wholeheartedly disagree, because he is the ring general, and General has his people that are under him. Just saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Imperium is a beautiful thing. It should grow.
Either way, they're doing a solid job of setting up SummerSlam. SummerSlam looks like it's going to be pretty good. You've got your unstoppable foreign heel versus your current champion who is representing the United States, because we like to boo the foreigners, and Puerto Rico is part of the United States for those of you listening that might not be familiar. Which brings me to my stash of knowledge for the week, because it reminds me of another SummerSlam.
I kind of have one going, so I can actually just point.
For this week's stash of knowledge,
you even got a little shadow down below, just a little.
Yeah, dude, it's filling in. I've almost grown the beard back out where I can chop off the beard and go back to the stash, but it's a whole process thing. But for this week's stash, I'm gonna take y'all back to long before I could grow a mustache, when I was around 4 years old, to another SummerSlam with an unstoppable foreign heel on top. And I'm talking about SummerSlam 1993 this week, gentlemen.
I was going to say, all right.
I rewatched SummerSlam 93 the other day. And if you have not watched it, go back. It is mad underrated. It gets mentioned in a negative sense for the end, which we'll get to in just a second.
I mean, for a very obvious reason.
But overall,
I mean, that show is a great show.
Killer show. You start out with Razor Ramon versus Ted DiBiase, which two workers in there, just having a great babyface heel match. Great way to start the show. You immediately jump from that to the Steiners versus the Heavenly Bodies. Just phenomenal tag team wrestling. Then, if that wasn't good enough for you, match number 3, you get Shawn Michaels versus Mr. Perfect. So we're 3 for 3 out of the gate for a phenomenal show.
And that Michaels Perfect match was ridiculously outstanding.
It is.
Kurt Hennig doesn't get the kudos he if Kurt Hennig had lived another 5 or 6 years, he would be on everybody's, Mount Rushmore. He was so good. So good.
I think the thing that hurt Kurt Hennig the most is that he did not need the title.
No.
And I think that's why he's not on people's Mount Rushmore, because he was never that I mean, he was an AWA champion, but like when we're talking about WCW, WWE's, New Japan, maybe, if you're looking at that, but they don't look at him as like a world champion. But he never needed it. But he was just so damn good.
So good
at everything he did. Just like Owen Hart never needed to win the big title. I think he would have if he if over the edge wouldn't have happened. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, that Michaels Perfect match, if you have not seen it, is phenomenal top to bottom. And then a little later in the show, you get a low-key great match between Bret the Hitman Hart and Doink. And this is Matt Bourne Doink. This is got his working boots on Doink.
This is the right Doink, yes.
Yeah, the good Doink. Or the better Doink. This is a good Doink.
It is such a perfect snapshot of that early to mid 1990s, just classic pro wrestling. Just top to bottom, characters all over, good wrestling. The only negative of the entire show, which is still talked about 31 years later,
for good reason,
is the end of the show. If you are not familiar, it was built up for Lex Luger challenging Yokozuna. He wins by disqualification, which ending a pay-per-view on a DQ finish is never good. They wanted to protect him, but if you're going to book the match, you only had 4 pay-per-views a year at the time. Don't do a DQ. But then after Lex wins by disqualification, in one of those things that only WWE can ever do, and they just can't help themselves sometimes, the entire babyface roster pours out of the back to throw him on their shoulders and celebrate him not winning the title from Yokozuna as confetti falls down and they play Stars and Stripes Forever. He gets a victory lap for coming in second. And it popped me so hard. I had to bring it up this week and talk about it because it still makes me laugh every time I see it.
And when you go back and you actually take a look at everything they did around Yokozuna, it's quite wild. This is a legitimate, and yes, the sumo aspect of very cool, right? But so culturally appropriated, and then just the way that they spun every storyline with him. Like, this is a man who legitimately should have never lost in professional wrestling, technically. If you look at, like, how can anybody beat him, right? He's a fucking sumo wrestler, you know? It was a wild time in WWF because it was still WWF at the time.
Mm-hmm.
With Yokozuna, it's just unfortunate that he couldn't keep the weight under control and his body started to break down, and we missed out on the original plan for WrestleMania 12, getting Yokozuna and Vader. Which Vader was not in great shape by that time either, but I wish we could have got them in their prime. That would have been phenomenal.
Yeah, there was.
I know that's the Yokozuna they gave it to us. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there was good Yokozuna for what, 2 years, and then it was Yokozuna.
Yeah,
I think it was up until he lost at what was it? Was it WrestleMania 11 where he
10.
lost 10? Okay.
Bret Hart,
and he loses to Bret because 9 he beats Bret and then loses to Hogan,
which pissed off Bret like to no end. I still remember watching that. He was so pissed.
Yeah.
Well,
10 he loses to Bret, and by 11 he's tagging with Owen.
I mean, this was a wild time in WWE. Remember, I think it was SummerSlam 91 where they had the whole Iraqi sympathizer Sergeant Slaughter angle.
Yes, because that was leading up to 92. No, I think that was 90, because WrestleMania 7 would have been 91 with Hogan and Slaughter. So the SummerSlam before would have been 90.
90. Okay, so it was 90.
Yeah, it was around that time.
They had some wild ones, but I will say this: talk about clear lines and bright characters at the time. I mean, I miss some of that sometimes, you know.
I do. I think pro wrestling needs to be a little hokey sometimes.
Some of it.
100%.
Some of that.
Like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre match, you know. Those just hit.
Love that.
God.
Hit right here.
It just needs to be a little unserious sometimes.
That's a fantastic stash of knowledge. Thank you, Austin.
Yeah, I mean, Heather hit the nail. Like, they used to be, like, the commentators back then were so harsh. And that was like the Vince days. Vince would just say whatever he wanted.
Yeah, it was Vince and Lawler for a lot of it.
Lawler, you had Jesse Ventura, you know, Gorilla Monsoon. I mean, you had Bobby Heenan on. I mean, the cast of characters you had on commentary was almost half the price of admission at times.
I miss Bobby.
Oh, yeah. Everybody misses Bobby. He's the best. All right.
I do gotta say, I enjoyed Gorilla and Jesse as much as I enjoyed Gorilla and Bobby. I'm not gonna say Jesse's as good as Bobby, but I enjoyed it just as much.
So I like the aspect that Jesse gave. Jesse gave you that kind of what Taz tries to do, you know, that inside, you know, the playbook sort of like mentality. Talking about, you know, this move does this because of this, because he used to be a wrestler, so he knows these things instead of just commentate, you know. You know. Still the best.
Like, Jesse was very good at riling up Gorilla Monsoon, and he would justify the heels cheating, but he would do it in a logical enough way that sometimes Gorilla would just no sell it and move on to call him the next thing, so he didn't have a comeback to it.
Oh God, yes. Well, thank you for the trip down memory lane. Are you going through SummerSlams or just casually popping in every now and then here and there?
Casually watching some older ones. I watched 93 the other day. I watched 94 today. I'm not going to do a full run.
Oof, that'd be tough.
Yeah.
There's some bad ones.
94 is iffy, and then it gets ooh, and then it gets good. Like
back up in 97.
97, 96. I say 96. It gets going, you know. 94 though is
94 for me just has a very nostalgic place, because growing up we would hit the Blockbuster every Friday night, and they only had a small selection of wrestling tapes.
Same, yeah.
And my brother and I probably rented SummerSlam 1994 at least a dozen times, because there was only 5 or 6 of them. We would just rotate through. And I do gotta say, in hindsight, it's kind of silly. Like I said, I like wrestling when it's kind of silly, but for the time, I thought the Undertaker versus Undertaker angle was awesome. It worked for the time. Look, in hindsight,
Compared to what else they had, I'll give you that.
It worked for the time. And then you get to SummerSlam 94, and you've got Leslie Nielsen running around the building trying to find the Undertaker in a bunch of Naked Gun-esque spots. It was a good time.
I didn't appreciate that at the time, but now I look back on that fondly. That part of it, the Leslie Nielsen part.
They literally closed the show because Undertaker remains, and Undertaker beats fake Undertaker and all that kind of stuff. And then they cut to the back. They're like, wait, we're not done. We've got to go back to our sleuth. And it's Leslie Nielsen. He's like, it looks like the case is closed. And just looks over the briefcase and just like is physically closed. And then he just leaves. That's the end of the show.
That's it. SummerSlam's, when is SummerSlam? Is that end of the month?
August 3rd.
Yeah.
August 3rd.
It's early August. It's week and a half out.
Yeah, so it's
And then
beginning
like
of
the week
August.
after that, or yeah, is it the week? 2 weeks after that's all in, and then 2 weeks after that's all out.
I think
Yeah,
all in's like 3 weeks out. I think all in
3
like
weeks.
the end of
it's
August.
Like the 20-something of August. It's here. I'll tell you right now. It is the 25th of August is all in. So you've got it's 3 weeks after that.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
Well, before we get to all in, we had a Dynamite 250 tonight.
We did have Dynamite 250, and just for the people counting at home, the opening match had more wrestling than all of Monday Night Raw. Guys confirmed 59 minutes of wrestling.
58 to be exact.
Exactly, and then there was only 49 and some change on Raw.
So do you want to get into it with this, or do you want to save this match for the end? You want to talk about everything else first, or you want to talk about this match?
No, I think we opened it the way they opened it, with an absolute effing balls to the wall banger of a match that ended terribly in the best way possible. No,
Okay,
terribly in the best way possible.
Okay,
you know what I mean? Like, that's the best way to end that match.
I'm going to hard disagree with you on that.
Ooh.
All right. Well, let's talk about the match for a hot second. So last week when this was announced, Austin and I were here, for those of you who remember, and we were both just like, my God, please. Yes. And you're opening with this. Holy shit. And I think one of us might have even said, just, make that half the show. Yeah. Right. They've done, I think this is the third 60-minute match they've done. Because they had, maybe I'm wrong there, but I know they did Omega Danielson, 60-minute draw, right? And then there was another one that I can't remember off the top of my head, but they had another one.
FTR versus Bullet Club Gold went like 58 or something like that.
Right. So this is their third hour-long match on public television. And my God. First of all, I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but middle to late July in Arkansas, it's pretty humid inside. 6 times during the match, they talked about the humidity. They just kept talking. It's like, it's humid. It's like, shut up. It's summer. We know. But my God.
It was a good way to kick off your 250th episode of Dynamite. Like I was saying last week, I appreciate that they make Dynamites feel like a big deal sometimes. I saw people bitching on the internet. Why are they giving away that match for free? Why are you complaining that they're giving away that match for free? I mean, I would willingly pay $50 if it was on a pay-per-view, but I don't understand the complaining about getting a pay-per-view quality match on your weekly TV. I wish it would happen more often in the other place. Like, great way to start the show. We'll get to the finish at the end, which I did not care for at all. I did think this match went a little longer than it needed to because of the finish. We'll get to that when we talk about the finish.
I don't disagree with you on that. I think that Yeah, a little bit of everything. Some technical, has some flippy spinny. There was, arm injury angle. There was just real good heel work, face work, back and forth. Every checkbox you had for a wrestling match was done. And I don't know what else you could have asked for in a match other than, like, I agree, maybe it went a little bit long, right? But I'm not complaining about it, especially with the way that they ended it. Jamie, what are your thoughts?
We've said time and time again, Will Ospreay doesn't miss, right?
A little bit too much, maybe, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit on the nose, a little bit. And I will say this. This was his longest match so far this year, but it's not his best match of the year.
Okay.
It was excellent. Don't get me wrong. That whole opening sequence with the headlocks and the flips and everything that they did, that barrage that they opened up with, like early, into it, was sick. Like, I loved it because it did give you the flippy spinny and it gave you a little technical. Now, when they went into the crowd, that was good times. That 8-year-old girl is a meme of all memes. And
she had the
MJF
best night of her life.
Flipped her off while it was happening. It was like the best spot. And then, like, I happened to look on Twitter and, like, Chris Manning went on there and goes, "Go to an indie show. This is a spot in every show."
He's not wrong.
I can testify to that.
Yes.
Heidi, I'm looking at you.
Yeah. So, no, I really enjoyed this match. The ending was how this was supposed to end, but I agree. I don't think it should have went an hour. I think it should have been a solid 30 minutes, 35 minutes, so maybe you can get a second match in there, or more of Mariah Storm, if you will, because Jesus, they looked exactly alike. But we'll get into that in a little bit. But no, I enjoyed this match, period. But I agree, short.
So
30,
the ending came, for those of you not following along, or maybe you need just remember. So come down to it, half a minute left, and Rensburg gets bumped and hit, and Ospreay goes to check on him because he's the good guy. Good guy does the good guy thing. The bad guy does the bad guy thing, pulls out his ring, punches him in the face, goes to pin him. With 5 seconds left, goes to pin him, and is counted 1, 2, 3 with 2 seconds remaining. Great shot, too, the pin with the clock on the background. They've definitely been improving some of their camera angles, I feel. I think that the production's still a little better on WWE's side, the whole con effect they have over there. But I think the AEW is trying to improve some stuff. So I love the kind of the visual of that. But MJF, shockingly, maybe wins the international title. What don't you like about this ending, Austin?
Multiple things. First off, going back to the length, if it's going to end with MJF just hitting him with the ring, you couldn't have pulled that ring out of your trunks at the 40-minute mark. I'm not saying this need to be a shorter TV match, but to get something that long and then get that kind of finish after it just seems like a lot of what preceded it was a little bit of a waste. Still a great match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I don't want to take away from the 59 minutes and 45 seconds before that. But I feel like matches this long really only work when you have a more decisive winner at the end. Not when MJF does the finish he's done 80 fucking times before. Which at this point, Bryce Remsburg, do you want to maybe start checking his trunks before the match? This happens a lot. Like, maybe just start checking for the ring. Christopher Daniels, you were deputized recently as an authority figure. You're getting into all kinds of other things. You can't just be like, "Yo, MJF, give me the ring before you go out there," and that's adding a little too much logic. And that's mostly just joking on that front. But I do think it is a little long for that kind of finish. But even that, it wasn't just that MJF hit him with the ring and won, which, again, it's a finish we've seen MJF do a million times before. That wasn't as big of a problem for me as Ospreay grabbing him for the Tiger Driver, and then standing there for like 2 minutes, then deciding not to do it and looking like the dumbest guy in the world. Because now you've done that 3 or 4 times. If you just are, if you're never going to do it again, just don't grab the guy for it.
Exactly. Why? I'm over that bit. I agree with you. If you retired that move, just don't go for it.
Yes, and I thought it made Ospreay look like a little bit of a dipshit. It's
like if you're a recovering alcoholic and you still hang out in the liquor store. Well, don't go there. Don't do that.
Yeah, it was teased way too long. Where like you're just kind of holding him upside down. Like, why did you pick him up in the first place? If you're not gonna, but yeah, just don't go for it.
Just do or do not.
And I even think if he would have before grabbing it, he would have taken some time, like debating, and then as soon as he lifted him up, MJF kicked out, shoved him into the ref, then hit him. Like that tells a better story. Like now, Ospreay made the choice. All right, I'm gonna fucking do it, but he took so long thinking about it that it cost him. Instead of I'm gonna hold him like this for about 17 minutes. Then I'm holding him upside down for a few more minutes, and then I'm just going to set him down because, no, I don't want to do it after all.
Something tells me they're obviously planning for him to pull that move out at some moment and expect it to be like a big thing. And I just don't care anymore about it. It's a move. It's not even. It's a cool move, but it's not even one of his best moves.
Yeah,
the Stormbreaker's a cooler move than that.
The hidden blade he hit diving through the ropes.
That
was phenomenal.
Again, camera work on that was great.
Yeah.
We are in a new era when it comes to camera work and wrestling. That's all I know.
Makes you happy. I know that.
Yeah. All that said, it was a phenomenal match. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
So you guys surprised with MJF winning the title? Because literally, I think everybody in the world thought you hit 45 minutes, 60-minute draw. It's going to be, right? It's got to be, right? They actually have a winner, and it's a new champion. That surprised you that he's the champion. He took the belt off of Ospreay.
It did, but it shouldn't have.
Yeah.
I hear you. It screams triple threat for All In, unfortunately, I feel like.
Which, yeah, like what does that do for anyone involved? Aside from just get them on the show, which you do not need to be scrounging for spots for MJF, Pac, or Ospreay on that show. But I don't think a triple threat is as good as Ospreay versus Pac one-on-one. I'm not sure Pac versus MJF one-on-one is that exciting, although it is in Wembley, so like you get your babyface in his native land, or close enough anyway, against the big heel. But I don't know about triple threat at Wembley.
I don't think no.
Do you think that they're gonna have a redo? Because we saw the thing, you're gonna have a rematch here in 2 weeks or something like that.
I think it's possible because I don't believe at any point after the match they put up a graphic and said MJF versus Pac at Wembley. Like I don't remember them really mentioning Pac during the match at all.
No. Okay. Well, I hope not. I mean, I want to see Pac and Ospreay in Wembley. 2 Englishmen fighting for a title. That's just going to be redonk, And I just
triple story with MJF and Ospreay just sounds amazing, especially when you get ready to sprinkle in some of the Don Callis family, because that's going to be coming.
I know, and therein lies the problem. But it just, but then you got the X factor of having Pac in it, and it's just like, and then there's still Daniel Garcia out there, so maybe it becomes a 4-way match, and then it's even
Daniel Garcia's dead. They killed him 2 weeks ago. Remember?
You know what? That's the other thing about going back to Ospreay deciding not to hit the Tiger Driver. Like, bro, this whole thing started because you watched MJF tombstone Daniel Garcia off the top rope and try and kill him. Like, now you're having problems about dropping MJF on his dome.
Stop trying to kill it. It's already dead.
Going back to this, surprising me, but it shouldn't have. I do think AEW seems a little too hesitant to ever make MJF look vulnerable at all. I thought MJF should have lost here and probably lost clean. Right at the limit. Like, let him, if you're gonna go 60, have him eat a pin right at the very end. Keep him looking strong. Mm-hmm. But it kind of goes back to before, like MJF is the bad guy, but he also always wins, and you never really get like a satisfying payoff. He never really gets his.
Yeah.
Like the only time it's ever happened was the dog collar match that he lost to Punk.
Well, and Wardlow.
Well,
that's like, well, you can take Ospreay 60 minutes, but you can't beat Wardlow in 6. Wardlow's the real ace of AEW.
He's just meat candy. He's bacon. That's what he is. So after this, gentlemen, let's just go ahead and get into the rest of the show. There's some. So there's some good stuff. Don't get me wrong. And the biggest surprise of all time, gentlemen, the Acclaimed are officially part of Team AEW.
What?
I know you all are surprised.
You're kidding me.
So now you have
whatever.
The new master of the mic, Mark Briscoe, the Acclaimed, and Swerve Strickland. One spot is remaining, though.
No, it's not. It's filled last week.
Oh. They say one spot remains on Team AEW.
It might not be officially. It might have been officially announced yet, but
it's Darby Allin.
It was cleared up last week.
We already know this.
I could have swore Darby Allin officially took it last week.
It was later.
Whatever.
But at this moment.
I thought last week Darby Allin said he was in the match.
Yeah.
They haven't officially said it.
Well,
I mean, we knew the Acclaimed was in it since like 2021, and like they finally announced it this week.
That's
6-1.
That's very true. Hey, what about Chris Jericho's TV time, gents?
Get a little TV time with Chris Jericho because, you know, he is never missing another Dynamite ever again.
That line was so good. You know, that's the other reason why MJF versus Ospreay was so long. How dare they make me wait till hour 2 to see Chris Jericho?
I know, right? Are you guys excited to see him and Suzuki next week?
I mean,
I know, I felt the same way.
Suzuki any week.
I'm like, Suzuki's
that's the thing.
Cool.
I want Suzuki.
Yeah.
I want Murder Grandpa whenever I can get him.
For what it's worth, you know. And they said it's very, very poignantly, too. The Bad Apple and the Redwood are banned from ringside next week. So they're potentially, I have a feeling there might be another branch growing from that learning tree at Blood and Guts. Who knows?
I agree.
That would make sense. There's probably someone out there that could throw in with them. Do we want to wildly speculate on who might join the learning tree?
Absolutely. That's what we do here.
Are you new here?
Welcome to the Spotfest, Austin.
Basically a trainee. I don't know. Do
you
y'all have
have
anyone that jumps right up the top of your head?
Unfortunately, the first thought my mind goes to is Private Party, and I really hope that's not the case. But they're the ones that my brain just goes right to. They've had the run-ins with them, and I feel like, unfortunately, story-wise, that makes sense. So I'm going to go with that one.
That's not bad. But you know who I think would be a great one? Would be the out of nowhere guy who beat Chris Jericho, like 4 months ago. And they ended up becoming Dante Martin's tag team partner for a hot minute.
Super Swallower, Action Andretti.
Action Andretti.
Bro, was that 4 months ago? I thought that was like 18 months ago.
That was a long time. That was like a year ago.
That was a long time ago.
Over a year ago.
You know, it all works. It's all the same. It's all fluid. It's 4 months of Jericho years.
It could be an eternity.
All right. What are your thoughts, Austin?
I don't know. I feel like
You raised this question up.
I feel like it's pretty wide open. And I think it would be better if it was someone that you just weren't expecting. See, it absolutely won't be because he's involved in other things. In a vacuum, if I could pick anybody, I would want Max Caster to be the guy.
Okay.
Acclaims and Blood and Guts, like, obviously not going to happen. But in a vacuum, I think that would be a good spot for Max Caster. But because that's obviously not going to be the case, I'll throw out another will absolutely not be the case. Give me Wardlow under the learning tree.
Oh,
I want to see War Daddy out there.
That's actually
also will not happen, but
And since we're throwing names of what we'd want to see happen, I would like to see Jay Lethal under the learning tree. He's a little more veteran, but kind of stuck in mid-card hell. Could use that Jericho boost, right?
Jay Lethal got the Jeff Jarrett boost. That's the biggest boost you need.
I would die if it was like Jeff Jarrett.
Now that's all I want is Jeff Jarrett to be sitting under the learning tree and just no selling it. Like he's genuinely interested to learn from Chris Jericho, even though he's older and better.
What if it's a female talent? It won't happen, but let's go out there, right?
Like Serena Deeb, which would be perfect.
That actually wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. That's pretty good, right?
Because I think your other option would be like Anna Jay, but they've
got her aligned with Saraya and Outcast. I'm trying to think who else you got. Everybody else is kind of like in their own lane, sort of.
What about Preston Vance?
Is he still with Incornables?
They're not even a thing right now because Roosh is getting recruited to be in the Don Callis family.
I don't know if Preston Vance is still there. He might be. Oh. What if it is going to be a female? Why not the most impressionable of all the females you have signed to your AEW / Ring of Honor conglomerate?
Abaddon?
No, I was thinking Billy Starks.
Oh, that's great.
I think that's a good fit.
I like that.
But she's already under the Athena tree.
That's right. A different show, Ring of Honor. She could be in her 2 trees in different places.
I mean, nobody's watching Ring of Honor. I don't know if you've heard. It's terrible.
I just saw a story earlier that with this residency they're doing in Arlington, they're going to make a bigger push on Ring of Honor because they're going to be able to tape more while they're there, something like that.
I hear you. I mean, that's the old TNA strategy, right? TNA would run for they do 4 or 5 days down in Orlando, and that would be for 3 months worth of TV, right? And that's not a bad logistical point to take. The problem is your distribution for Ring of Honor is shit. Not only is it streaming only, it's streaming only through watchroh.com, which is his own independent thing.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. No, what I've seen of Ring of Honor has been good because it's basically AEW light, but
I did see, if I'm not mistaken, at Death Before Dishonor, it's going to be Briscoe and Roddy for the title, which
it is.
Should be very good.
Perfect.
But yeah, if they are going to make a bigger push on Ring of Honor, give me an easier way to watch it.
I mean, at least when it was on YouTube, it was easy to watch, right?
Yeah.
Something.
Well, maybe with the new TV deal that's hopefully coming up.
That's going to be 2025, unfortunately. We still got another half year to wait until that comes to fruition.
Like, give me Ring of Honor on Max. I already pay for Max. I'll watch it there.
Perfect.
I feel like that's what's going to happen. I just need to. Anyway, you guys throw in chat if you're here with us live. Put down the comments down below if you aren't. If you're watching us for the replay here, who do you guys think?
I'm wondering.
All right, I'm just gonna catch up on chat there. So all right, let's keep it going, Jamie.
All right. So after this, we had a little bit of blood and guts shenanigans. The EVPs are not celebrating the 250th. They are focused on blood and guts.
Except for Okada, who's very focused on Mercedes Moné's dance.
I
do
like
the dance, and he starts sweating and hyperventilating. It was fantastic. It's so good.
They definitely need to keep putting Mercedes with the Bucks.
Yep. Absolutely.
She immediately becomes a more interesting heel. Speaking of her being an interesting heel, though, I don't know what it is that when she has a microphone, she just cannot get it across. But every other time, it's great. I don't know if y'all saw on Twitter last week when they announced that she was going to do an open challenge and everybody but Britt Baker could come challenge the title on this week's Dynamite. She tweeted something out about, like, who do y'all want to see or something like that. And she was going and replying to every comment just like as a heel, and it was all great. Like, it was phenomenal.
She just can't talk. She's got every other component that lives for it. She just can't verbally communicate it to the general public.
And even talking in this pre-tape with the Bucks was fine. She came across as a heel, but when they just give her a mic by herself, I don't know why she just can't be a heel.
Yeah, her pre-planned is fine. Her off the cuff, not so good.
That's so fine. What'd you think of her and Nyla Rose, though?
I enjoyed it.
I love Nyla Rose, though.
Same.
I do too.
The whole like reversal into, look when she's trying to get her into like the DDT's, like, are you out your mind? And they got her out with the suplexes. So sick.
But again,
I want to change my answer from earlier. I want Nyla Rose under the learning tree, because then we'll get Nyla Rose every week, because Jericho ain't missing Dynamite.
Nyla Rose would actually be fantastic.
Dude, Nyla Rose would be perfect. Nyla Rose is great, and her personality, her Twitter game is unmatched, unparalleled.
Oh, totally.
Like, no offense to your wife, who has a strong Twitter game herself, but she does not hold a flame or a candle or anything, a bazooka, to what Nyla Rose does on the Twitters or X or whatever you want to call it.
The match I thought was okay. I mean, it's kind of hard after you've had an hour long, up and down emotional thing. Anything's going to suck afterwards, right? And this didn't suck. It wasn't bad. It wasn't fantastic.
You got it.
Right. Well, for what it's worth, we talked about this. Mercedes could still go in the ring, right? And there was some comedy involved with it. I liked it. It was a good, you knew what was going to happen, at the end of the day. I liked a little bit of her trying to do the lock jaw, but she's not a dentist, so she doesn't do the lock correctly on the mandible. And then after Nyla bites her, she does her submission, which they called it something else, like the statement notice or something. I don't remember, but
yeah, I forgot what they called it.
They can't call it the bank statement anymore, so whatever.
I mean, they could.
Who cares?
The money line.
But yeah, the match was good. Like you were saying, though, it seems like the rest of the show kind of suffered from the hour-long opening match.
It did.
I don't know, because right after that, you did have the Mariah May thing, and I thoroughly enjoyed that.
What'd you think of the Britt Baker Sting moment?
That was fine.
I love it. That's their default. Whenever somebody's banned from whatever, they're going to show up, and they're going to show up as Sting now. That's now AEW canon for eternity.
Yeah, Sting mask.
Like next time we go to
Sting show up tonight.
Like next time we go to an AEW show, we should just wear Sting masks. We might be able to get front row upgrades. You know.
Oh, I'm sorry, but before Mariah May's Tony Storm thing, you did have Jack Perry saying that if Darby wanted his attention, he has it now, and he'll find him by the end of the night.
And what makes you think I care about you beating up Brandon Cutler? So he then beats up Brandon Cutler as well.
I thoroughly enjoyed that.
That was great.
Jack Perry's been doing great work recently.
And how about Brandon Cutler doing work, man? Yeah.
He's selling. So I am confirmed now, 100%. Mariah May is a clone of Tony, just the younger version. Because when she came out looking like Timeless, they looked exactly alike.
It was a little creepy, honestly, how similar it was.
It was the same thing. Was it Double or Nothing? What was the one? There was one where she came out in Tony's gear to Tony's music before Tony actually came out. And you actually thought it was Tony doing her old gimmick, but it was just Mariah May, and then they cut to time. So that
yeah.
It was either Dynasty or Double or Nothing.
I think it might have been Dynasty. I don't remember.
It was great, though.
She looks exactly like her.
Now,
so good.
And she gets in there and says everybody saw this coming except for Tony and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it was fine, you know.
It's kind of on the nose, though, because everybody did see it coming.
We've seen it coming for what? Since she signed up with Tony. This is day one. Like, yep, that's going to happen. Mm-hmm.
We're wrestling fans, ladies and gentlemen. We know the game.
I thought this was a good bit of storytelling, though. And it was a little bit of revisionist history on her end, which is what you want your heel to do.
Yep.
Is to paint themselves the best light possible. She said she should have done it a lot earlier, but then she figured she might wait until Wembley. But like this whole story started with her wanting Tony's attention, and it wasn't until the last like 6 weeks or so that Tony stopped remember early on where she was begging Tony to watch her match, and Tony was like, "Oh, I don't have time for that." So like
yeah.
It was a nice little bit of storytelling. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Brother Contreras. Yes, Double or Nothing.
Oh, Nothing. Okay.
Yes.
Boom.
Coming in hot. See, chat's got our backs, guys.
Now, going into the main, I was excited for this because it's Swerve versus Okada. But again, after everything that happened at the beginning of the show, plus just the way that everything transpired, I mean, this was fine. It went the way you thought it was going to go, right? And unfortunate because you really want to see Swerve versus Okada. And I have a feeling we're going to see that sometime in the future. Just saying. There was a little bit of a drop in the whole EVP promo. We have all the gold. And then one of the other I can't remember which Jackson said it, but one of Jackson's like, we have all the gold to go. Well, except for like the world title. It's like, we're not worrying about that right now. I mean, I'm just saying, after Danielson, all right, just putting it out there.
So let's get to Darby Allin's big moment where he officially is now part of Team AEW, even though we already knew it. Big brawl comes out, and the fifth member of AEW, Team AEW, comes from not the back, oh no, but from the rafters, ladies and gentlemen. Did not happen in Kansas City. So he was able to land safely there. Yeah, so here comes Darby from the top, and there you go. He is officially the fifth member now. Even though I think it was already let out that he was going to be the fifth member, on last week. But you know what? We're like amoebas. We don't remember anything.
Do you think the whole, because he's now fully taken over Sting's entire gimmicks, all of his gimmicks, right? Yay, nay. What are your thoughts?
I'm good with it. It's just another interesting wrinkle. Because outside of that, like, I mean, I understand there is a a section of the fan base that is super into Darby Allin, and I don't dislike Darby to any degree, but that's just like not my guy, not what I'm into. So like for me, I'm entertained by Darby when he's getting chucked around or beaten up like a pinata. Literally at the last pay-per-view where he was hanging upside down, getting beaten like an actual pinata. Normally, like, yeah, I like to see him get tossed around and all that. But I enjoy seeing like the Sting stuff. Like it gets to live on a little bit, and he was Sting's little buddy. Like I'm fine with it.
I don't mind a callback on occasion, but for me personally, like that hits at my heartstrings because the whole Sting from the rafters bit, right? That was peak WCW, and that was peak my fandom of WCW when I was in high school, when it was happening. That was the shit that popped me so much. And they did it so massively back then too, because it'd just be weeks you'd see him up there. And they just periodically would just pop up in the show and look, oh, yep, Sting's still in the rafters, right? Watch the entire show from the rafters, and then every once in a while, he'd come down. Not every time, not every episode, but he did. And when he came down, that meant shit was going to go down. And I loved it. And I don't feel like they're going to overdo it with Darby and the whole Sting Rafter thing, but it was kind of the surprise element of it, which is why it was so cool, right? Because he was always there. Darby's not going to live in the rafters like Sting did, right? He's not going to do complete gimmick infringement because, like you said, he's very popular. You want him in front of your people. So I'm good with it. It's okay. It's that to me, it doesn't hit the same. And maybe that's just my nostalgia whitewashing everything. But it was cool.
I mean, no one's ever going to be the same as the Stinger, but like it's a fun little callback. The one thing I didn't like about it is they're all brawling, and then security gets the Elite back up the ramp.
Logic time.
And then
Here we go.
Darby's music starts playing, and security immediately goes over to the other side of the Elite between them and the entrance, leaving a wide open space to the three guys they were just brawling with, who are now just standing there. like,
dude, attack. Now's your moment.
Not even that, but like, hey, security guys, like you didn't understand the assignment. Like there's just circle them, like make a barrier. But yeah, that's throwing a little logic. I just thought that was funny, is that they just like left the path wide open, and then Darby just kind of descended.
Jamie, are you
I
excited?
think it would have been great if, as Darby's descending, his thing stops about 3 feet off the ground, and it turns out the Bucks have the guy in the back stopping it, and then they go start beating him like a pinata again.
You just want to see the man get hit like a pinata. Are you excited?
I thoroughly enjoyed that spot.
Oh, that was a fantastic spot. Jamie, are you excited for? What are your hopes for, or what do you think? Give me your thoughts on Blood and Guts for next week. Let's go there.
Well, this will be the third or fourth.
Want to say fourth.
Fourth, okay. The last two have been very underwhelming.
Yes.
At best. At best, right? So I'm hoping it is not that. I'm hoping that we actually get a solid match. I hope there is legit blood and guts, because last time I don't think there was. I mean, we had Kota Ibushi coming back for the first time and not knowing what the hell he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be a lot better, because we will have Darby, who will do the crazy ass spots. You will get Hanger versus Swerve. You'll get Jack Perry. I think this one has all the ingredients to be very good. I'm just hoping it doesn't fall flat.
That's a good way to put it. I mean, truth of my man, I've been a little soured because of the last couple. And I said this. I've been. You can go back and check the tape if you guys want. I've been very critical of the Blood and Guts on TV since they announced this one. Because I just feel like either they don't give it enough time. It's just not. I don't know. It feels like it's just rushed, and it's not. The first one was the first time they did it, and they did it on TV, and it was fine. But they planned it out to a T, right? Ever since then, it just has felt thrown together, right? I don't know. I don't think it's going to be as great as we want it to be, but I still think it'll be plenty fine.
I generally assume if there is a multi-man gimmick match with no rules and Darby Allin is involved, it's going to be entertaining because he's going to do something stupid. And I mean that in the most complimentary way possible, where he will die, but not really because he is indestructible to some degree. I think this will be good. It'll be good for TV. My only thing is like you just did Anarchy in the Arena like 8 weeks ago.
Oh yeah,
with a lot of the same guys. But not only Darby Allin, you got Mark Briscoe in there too, who's down to do some crazy shit. Mm-hmm. I wish they would stop putting Okada in these kind of matches. I don't think he really fits. Like it's fine, but I don't know if that's like the best use of Okada. I understand like you've got the team, you've got to have him in there.
Right.
Yeah, like I think this will probably be better than last year's was. But yeah, like I said, Darby's in there. He'll do something crazy. It'll make it worth watching. Jack Perry's in there. He's been doing good work. Maybe someone will get set on fire again. Maybe even more fire. I do have to say, this will be the fourth one. There has been blood in every one. We have not seen any guts yet.
Good point. Good point.
Well, if we have a Darby Pinata, we might get some guts. Who knows?
I mean, we did get to see Chris Jericho go into some boxes.
We did get to see Jericho fall into some boxes. I was randomly thinking the other day, think of how far AEW has come from the exploding barbed wire ring match and how bad the end of that was. Like where that hardly even gets brought up anymore.
Thankfully, because man,
that was a low point. I mean, what can you do? It didn't go off like it was supposed to. Like,
so,
it sucks.
That was back in the time, so we were still getting together to watch the pay-per-views. And so we were at Jamie's house. Jamie and myself. Was that the night we got the wings? I think it was.
Yeah, we got like the best wings.
We got like Jamie's like, we'll get some wings. I show up at his place, and his wife comes in. She runs out and comes back with 2 giant trays full of wings. We got buffalo and naked, right? His girls have some. Our buddy, our guy who used to be on the podcast when we first started, our friend Nick, he was there as well. He actually bought an Exploding Barbed Wire t-shirt because he couldn't buy like the t-shirt for the actual event ahead of time, so he bought that one. Funny story about that. But no, so we had these 2 giant things. Literally for one of the matches, Jimmy and myself just stood by the wings and then just downed like 1.5 pounds each of wings in that.
Hell yeah.
I mean,
dude, yeah, we got these like dry rub ones, and they were some of the like. I was not a dry rub guy until that moment. Like legit,
dry rub's so good.
They were so.
I'm a dry rub guy now. That's all I get. I don't get them wet now. I have to get them dry with like the stuff on because it's like my hands are clean.
And the buffalo was just very lightly coated, so it wasn't like dripping in sauce. So it was perfect. I mean, they were so good. But
I mean, I love a saucy wing as well. But yeah, dry rub.
I just don't like. I don't like having. Cause I like blue cheese with my buffalo. So I like doing it like that. So I don't want to have too much buffalo sauce on it personally. But yeah, so our buddy had this shirt. So and literally the second it came over, he just sits there for a second and goes, "Well, I feel like shit for buying this t-shirt."
That was actually before I started regularly watching AEW. And yeah, that was not their finest work. But like what a testament to them that years later, like it really doesn't get brought up much. Because they've done so many other cool gimmick match things since then that they've more than made up for it. I did want to touch on something before we clear out of here that our friend Brother Contreras put in the chat, asking about rumors of Ricochet.
Okay,
about him possibly replacing Darby. I don't think that's going to happen for Blood and Guts, but that did get me thinking. What if the reason Will Ospreay dropped the title to MJF tonight was because they confirmed Ricochet, and we're going to get Ospreay and Ricochet at Wembley?
Well,
Yes.
in the immortal words of the Lonely Island, jizz in my pants.
I don't know why that didn't dawn on me earlier, but that would make a whole lot of sense.
And
I mean,
the rumor has it that he wants to do his Prince Puma gimmick, which I'm like, yes, let's go.
Well, I think that they want to get past Blood and Guts before you enter him. So I don't think you'll see him. If he has signed, is the thought. I know, right? That's my. Oh yes, yeah. Yes, we thankfully I was going to shower after the show anyway, and now it's warranted. I feel like after you get past Blood and Guts, if he has indeed signed, or if he's close to, right, you will get past that. Then the next week, so 2 weeks would be the time, the earliest you would see him announce, right? Because you don't want to take away from Blood and Guts next week is sort of the thing. And I really don't think they're going to do like a last second throw him into that match, right? Especially if they're planning to do an Ospreay Ricochet thing, which of course they will do, but for All In, yeah.
I
want to go back and watch that match now.
That's all I gotta say. Yeah, let's go watch the Ricochet Ospreay from the Super Jays.
Let's go watch the Super J match, and then after you're done, look up and watch Mr. Perfect Shawn Michaels from SummerSlam 92.
93. But
93, son of a bitch. Yes.
Yes. Then you need to look up Chris Jericho versus Dean Malenko, Halloween Havoc, 1997.
Are we just now listing out our favorite matches? Is that what we're doing?
Was that the one where Dean Malenko won the Battle Royal dressed as Sequel Pay?
Yes, that's the one. Yes, and then he puts him in the Texas Cloverleaf, which is the second greatest leg submission of all time. Yeah, it's good shit.
Hey, you put some respect on the spinning toe hold.
As long as I don't have to hear STFU anymore, I'm all good.
You know what? At the time, it was kind of cool when they first started calling that, but then like it went PG and like it didn't really make sense anymore, and then they finally changed it.
I mean, because it was the FU, then it became the attitude adjustment.
Yeah, and then John Cena, Mr. Company Guy, is like, I never called it the FU. It's like, bro, we can pull up your raps when you're talking to people and you're literally calling FU.
I think those raps are retconned. All right, guys. Blood and Guts is next week. We're about 2 weeks out, give or take, from SummerSlam. And then, of course, at the end of August, we got All In. So we will definitely, we got a good amount of wrestling going on here. Again, if you're not doing anything this Saturday and you're near Wichita, Kansas, go check out Heartland Championship Wrestling. Austin Reddick will be there along with a host of others. It's always a good time. But if not, we will see you here. Same bad time, same bad channel next week. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you giving us some of your time. Jamie, take us home, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not down till Spotfest, I got 3 words for you. I'm Jamie Faulkner.
All right, see you next week.
Peace.
Later.